Brighter Media Group original.
Welcome to the Versed Podcast. I'm John, and we are on a daily pursuit together to become more perceptive to what the Bible says. And today we're going to be reading from the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 5. Let's dive into it. All right, so as I was doing my research on Hebrews, I figured out something at least new to me, that it is one of the most mysterious of all the books in the New Testament, meaning we don't know who wrote it, and that it's been intimidating to a lot of Bible teachers, and scholars over the millennia have studied this and have been able to come up with nothing. So it left me a bit uneasy, but what is known here is that it's a letter addressed to the early Jewish Christians. These are people that have lost their homes, loved ones. They were the object of persecution and mockery, facing death. So whoever wrote the letter understood this, and this person was known by the people. It was written during the time of the Roman Emperor Nero. American professor Merrill Tenney wrote this about Nero, and his words are better than anything I could come up with, so this is what he said. Check this out. His carelessness and extravagance emptied the public treasury. He resorted to violence and oppression in order to replenish it. In AD 64, a great fire broke out in Rome, which destroyed a large part of the city. Nero was suspected to have deliberately set it in order to make room for his new golden house, a palace. In order to divert blame from himself, the Christians were accused of having caused the disaster. Their aloofness from the heathen and talk of ultimate destruction of the world led plausibility to the charge. Many of them were brought to trial and tortured to death. Tradition says that Peter and Paul perished in this persecution, the first conducted by the state. So as we look at Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5 today, picture in your mind that it was during this time that the letter was written. When you see this letter in light of all that, it takes on a new meaning. Hebrews was written to encourage the discouraged. And of course, we're going to share more verses from Hebrews over time in this podcast, but today this is our first. So with that context, let's read about contentment from Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. Don't love money. Be satisfied with what you have, for God has said, I will never fail you. I will never abandon you. Let's read that in a different version. Don't be obsessed with getting more material things. Be relaxed with what you have. Since God assured us, I'll never let you down, never walk off and leave you. We can boldly quote, God is there, ready to help. I'm fearless no matter what, who, or what can get to me. So here we are pointed to God's constant presence and help as the key for real contentment. And a lack of contentment is a form of fear. We lack contentment because we're afraid. We're afraid of abandonment, of rejection, failure, being abused, controlled, and micromanaged. Because I've walked through it and I've lived with anxiety and I'm still managing it, I know that when I'm anxious, I try to control the world around me because I'm afraid of what happens if I let it go. So since it's been promised to us that God will never fail us or abandon us, that gives us two options. And I've heard it said like this. If we are like a pebble on the ocean floor and God's love is the ocean, we choose our response. To be a rock or a sponge, to resist or to receive. To receive and trust. to open every pore of our soul to God's presence is to free us from restless anxiety and discontent. It's to provide us security and peace. So let's take a couple minutes together and sit with this truth. This truth that can lead you to true peace and true contentment, found only in God alone. Hold fast to his character and press this promise on to your heart. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. I'm so grateful that really out of all the podcasts you could listen to, you've chosen to spend a few minutes here today. And for that, I am just eternally grateful. If this podcast has brought you any value, I'd love if you would leave a rating and a review, share it with your friends so more people can listen and join in this pursuit to become more aware of what the Bible says to find more hope. And for you, if you'd like to dive deeper on certain aspects of the Bible, if you have a verse you'd like to be included in this podcast, or you have questions about the Bible that you'd like answered in a bonus episode, or if you simply just want to connect because I'm that awesome, text the word versed to 88474. That's versed, VERSED, to 88474. And I'll send you a link that'll include my social media resources to grow deeper and a form to submit your questions. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope to connect with you soon.